Hello guys, my name is Michael. Today we are going to talk about properties, but before we proceed with the properties, let me talk a little bit about what we did in the last tutorial. We saw that if we create an adjustment with all its values to 0, then we cannot set the value of the adjustment, the main value, to another value, because we need first to set the lower and the upper. Here says also what's with this story. So if you call this function, says set the GTK adjustment value, so the value is clamped to lie between lower and upper. This is very important. This is the part which I wasn't sure about it. Now I can explain it better. So basically this is the part here, because we are setting to 0 both lower and upper, then basically the value should be lie between those values, and those two values being 0, then of course nothing's happened, nothing's changed, so this means the value will be set to 0. But if you are setting the adjustment lower and upper, once that we set them both, it works fine. You see, now is the value of 20. But this is very important for you to know, that even if you set the lower and the upper, if you at the beginning you are setting the value and then you set the lower and upper, before you call this function, the value it will be already set, so it will be already 0. So that's very important for you to know, that the value should always be called, you see, after you are sure that the upper and lower are set to some values. You know, like here, if we have now 100 here, I can drop these two things, and now works perfectly because we have the upper, you see, 20. Okay, so why I'm talking with you again about this part? Well, let's see. We are going to talk today about new things, which are properties. So let's see. I clean the program a little bit. No, we'll do something else, or not. I'll leave it like that. I'll just change this part here. I'm gonna say I will call it before. Okay, now let's see. Let's go up. Let's go to properties, and here, as you can see, we have all those 6 values, which are properties which we can set them. That being said, the properties which we have them here, we can work with GObject set, so that we can set these properties which we need. Okay, so I will go into call this function. The first is the object, which is our adjustment. The second one will be lower, page, and so on. So let me copy these things here, which goes faster. So the first one is the value. The first one is the value, which will be like I said, 50. The second one is the lower, which also has to be 0. The next one is the upper, which is also 100. The next one is the step increment, which is also, we are setting it to 1. And then page increment, we are setting it to 10. And then the last one, it is page size, which I'm going to set it to 0. And then after that, the last one, it will be our null, so that we know that we are done with adjustment. So let's see, I will copy this part here and I will throw it here. So this means here we had before and here we have after. Now what would you think it happens here? So we are creating an adjustment with 0 values, and then we set properties of this adjustment to those new values. The first value will be 50, the lower value will be 0, the upper value will be 100, the step increment will be 1, page increment will be 10, and page size will be 0. So let's see what happens. Segmentation fault. Wow, isn't this not nice? I mean, why does this thing happen? Well, this is a crazy thing here. Let me just remove these things first. So now we have the value, lower and upper, all of them set it at once. As you can see, we still get the same story. Now let's move this part here and we'll let the value only. Let's see what happens. Segmentation fault. So everything we try to change goes to segmentation fault. Let's go back now to them. Let's take the value and says the value, the default value is 0 and the value of the adjustment. So this means, let me see if I'm right. If I put now 0, should work fine. You see, it's 0. If I put now 50.0, it also works fine this time, and we have no segmentation fault, which is a good thing. So basically, you see here you cannot set just an integer number like this one, because you get a segmentation fault. Bam. Okay, next thing, because we know we need to set to pass it as a double, which works fine. You see we have 0. Let's set now the lower and the upper. Lower, let's set it to 0. Oops, sorry, the wrong. And the upper, we'll set it this time to 100. Of course we get segmentation fault, so we need .0, we need a double. Let us run the program now. As you can see, the same story here. The value is set to 0, the lower is set to 100, upper to 0. You see, that's a problem here. Watch, we said set the value to 50, set the lower to 0 and set the upper to 100, isn't it? Well, let's see. The value is 0 and the lower is 100 and the upper is 0. Why? I mean, why is 100 low and the upper is 0? Okay, so let's go back a little bit to our GObject set function. This is a crazy thing. So let's see. Sets the property of an object. Note that the notify signal are created and only emitted in reverse order. In after all property have been set. Okay, so basically the reverse order has to be with the notify signals. We have nothing with signals here. Okay, just let's move a little bit better and see what happens next. Page increment, we're going to set it to 10. Step increment, we are going to set it to 1, and page size, page size, we're going to set it to 0. Now let's run the program. So what did we have here? We said put the value 50, put the lower 0, put the upper 100, step increment 1, page increment 10, and page size 0. Of course, we need a comma and not a semicolon. As you can see, it doesn't work. They doesn't work. You cannot set them all at once. At least not in the way how I thought that you can. Let me swap a little bit this 2 here. So basically now we have lower, upper and value. As you can see, nothing's changed. Only the lower has been updated, but the lower is not the one which was set. So basically they are not working together. This means if you need to set the properties, then you need to do something like this, only one at a time. Let me go back. Okay, and now we will have here the page size, we will have here the page increment, yes, we will have here the step increment, we will have here the upper, we will have here the lower, upper, step, page, and of course we need also the value, which I'm going to put it back to 50. Now watch what happens if we call these properties. Okay, here is missing also. Okay, now let's see what happens now. As you can see, all those things works now fine, the way how we wanted to have them, or at least the way you think you can have them. It is a little bit messy by setting properties, because somehow they are not working in the way or in the manner in which you are thinking they are working. Watch, we said set the value to to 50, set the lower to 0, let's put 0.0, set the upper to 100, set the step increment to 1, the page increment to 10, and the page size to 0. And when we are printing it, the value is not working and it is okay, and the page size, you see, this time is 0 because we put 0.0, a double. If I remove it and I let only 0, crazy things happens, you see. So remember, just remember, when you are setting with properties and those properties says needs a double, don't play with this double. Don't use the default 0 how they said. You see what happens if you use 0? You see, and this happens because this story was also before, but I wanted to show you in a different manner, so like I'm using here, calling all of them. So when I said that it's not working together, well, I was kind of lying. Of course they are working together, but it is about the thing how you set these values. Those are doubles. So let me show you again, just to see that I'm not lying here. Watch, I'm copying these things back here. Watch. So I did this just to make you sure that you understand. So I remove these things here. Okay. Now we called GObject set on all these properties. This time we are working with this property right. This means we are not setting 0 here and we are not setting 0 here. We are setting 0.0. Watch. You see, they are working fine. Of course they are working fine. Why should they not? They are working fine, all of them in one call, and this happens only because you use this 0.0. So don't use 0 and 0, because, and here 50, and I don't know which kind of things you want to set like this one, because the thing here needs a double. You see, you get a lot of problems. Just let the program the way how call the GObject set and pass its parameter in the way they should be passed. So this means a value needs a double and the lower needs a double and so on, and it doesn't need an integer, because this isn't just an integer. You need a double precision. So once that you have this, you see the values which you are setting here, they are all works fine. Of course we have the same story here. Don't try to set the value before you set the upper and lower, because if you do that you get 0. Like here, see, we have 0. We need to have it 50. Well then, call it after, not before, like here. You see, and now you will have your value of 50. You see, value is now 50. The lower is 0, the upper is 100, 1, 10 and 0. Okay, I will let it like this now. I want to show you something else just for a moment. Let me format it. Okay, so basically we saw that it works. We saw how it works. Here we can pass 0, but here we cannot. The same story you will see with the spin buttons. You see how you create a spin button, and you see how you create an integer and a float one, and that relies only on the values which you are passing there. Then you will notice better that it is important if that is 0 or is 0.0. Okay. Now the last thing here, I want to show you something about the page size. Let's go up to the properties back. So we are to the property details of our GTK adjustment. Okay, so the property says lower the minimum value of the adjustment. Next one, the page increment says increment of the adjustment. And now watch, the page size is of the adjustment. Note that the page size is irrelevant and should be set to 0 if the adjustment is used for a simple scalar value. For example, for a GTK spin button. This is right, but this means the way how you are working with this spin, because why should be set to 0 just because they say it? I mean, let's go back a little bit to our demo session program. Demo. Let me go to demo, and then spin button. We have here created a demo spin button. Okay. And as you already saw here, we said 50, 0, 100, step increment was 1, oh, let me set it, 1, the page increment we'll set it to 10, and of course the page size we'll set it to 12. Okay, so now let me set back the 50, because you see it's 0. Yeah, it is 0 because I tried to set a value first. So now when I hit now 50, it should go to 50. It is not. So why this happens? Let me see. 0, something I made wrong here. 100 here, I think I didn't hit enter. Okay, and now if I go back to 50, now it works fine. Anyway, this is not important. What it is important is that this value set page size to 12. Okay, now let's go up. You see, works fine. Up, more up than 88 we cannot go. Why? We said 100, of course, but we said that page size should be 12. So this means 100 minus 12 is 88. 88 plus 12 is 100. So basically, why is not irrelevant? Ask the GTK guys. They know it better. But I wanted to show you that they mention about it. Of course, it is not the right way how you should be done it, but I want to show that it works. So basically, it's not so irrelevant how they said, and I do not believe that it should be set to 0 if the adjustment is used of a same scala in a GTK spin button. Anyway, this is the part which maybe you didn't notice, a simple scalar value. You see, this is another word here which you need to understand it. Okay, we were going to talk about these things anyway, but one is for sure, I want to tell you again and again, me, I'm a guy when I'm working with properties. If I have those properties which I can set them, I never call a set a function like GTKAdjustment I don't know, set lower. I will not going to call this function. I will not going to write all these adjustment and then kind of I don't know, kind of, sorry, it's in German now. I will not going to call this function. It's too much to type here. I don't need to type it. I will just use the object here, because when I'm creating a widget or in this case an object, because like I said, the adjustment is not a widget, it's an object. When I create a widget, I almost always need to set some properties. So once that I'm calling this function anyway, then I will set properties to this function. So when I'm setting properties to this widget, then if I need to set some other properties which they are here, like in this example, let's say we have these properties here and there are some more. If there are some more properties together with this one, will be fit better and looks nice and cleaner here than calling 100 functions, something like this. I don't like it, but this is a matter of taste. Anyway, that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.